Hi guys, welcome to today's video. It is the first week of October, so we are going to get our spooky on. I have found the cutest free silhouette cutting files for this amazing Halloween treat box by Jennifer Maker. I'll drop the links down below, and I just knew that I had the most beautiful specialist cardstock from the amazing Paper Cutz that would really bring this to life. If you would like to make your own, including how to print your own Halloween themed cardstock, stay tuned. So before we jump into the tutorial, I want to run through the things that you're going to need. All of the cardstock, including the photo cardstock, have kindly been provided by Papercutz, and I'm going to drop links to each individual one that I've used in the description down below. So you will need some specialist fancy cardstock, such as these mirrored and holographic designs, a low shed glitter cardstock, such as these, sturdy A3 cardstock, your choice of adhesive. I've used a combination of double-sided roller and a glue gun. The last step is completely optional, but I think it really helps to add a personalised touch to your Halloween advent calendar. Either A3 or A4 photo cardstock from Papercutz. This one is perfect as it not only prints well, but it's also 300 GSM, so it's nice and sturdy. And obviously to print your designs, you're going to need either an A3 or A4 printer. And although you can cut by hand, I would strongly suggest using a paper cutter, such as Silhouette or Cricut, or even a Time Graphic Silver Bullet. Now, because the Jennifer Maker file has actually been set up for both Cricut and SVG, I understand that not all Silhouette users are familiar with how to use that. For my Time Graphics Silver Bullet machine, that's absolutely fine. I can cut SVG files on their software. Silhouettes, however, make it a little bit more tricky, and you need the business edition in order to do this. Technically, you would be able to use Affinity to convert these into JPEGs rather than SVGs and then trace them in Silhouette, and you'd be able to use that in the free edition. However, that would be quite time consuming. So for today, I'm going to show you how to set up your score lines and cut lines using the Silhouette Studio Business Edition. I'm going to start by opening up the document and then zooming out and ungrouping all of the different elements. I'm going to select just the parts of the lines that need to be marked up for scoring, and then I'm going to change those to a different colour to the outer lines. Once I've gone through every single element to make sure that they've all been separated and assigned a different colour, I'm going over to the actual settings in Simple Line and making sure that these are set to score. You will need to check with your own machine, but for mine I just did a force of 1. Now we're heading over to Canva, and I've started a document that is A3 size, as that is what I plan to print on. I'm having a look in the elements for Halloween repeating patterns, and once I've found some that I like, I am filling up the page, making sure that everything is very carefully lined up. You need to take your time when doing this, otherwise it will show up when you go to print. Once we're in Affinity, we're going to make an A3 document that is 300 dpi and set up for Colourful Profile CMYK. I've then made 6 artboards, and I'm imported every single one of my wallpapers that I made in Canva, and now I'm going to print. For print settings, I've got A3 and borderless on, high quality print. We're going to print these, and then we're going to flip them over. You can see here on the darker one where I didn't line it up perfectly. This is why I urge you to take your time. Once I flipped it, I'm going to do the other side in the printer, and then we're ready to cut. For your cut settings for your silhouette, you may need to have a play. Mine were at force 33, double cut was on, and overcut 2 with a speed of 4. It's going to go through twice, wants to do the cut outlines and wants to do the score marks. As I said before, for the score I only needed to use a force of 1 and everything else was kept the same, but just a single cut. As you can see, it's cut the glitter cardstock really beautifully. For the actual printed designs, I managed to turn the force down to 25, but kept everything else the same. So there's over 50 pieces here, so it took quite a while to go through and cut them all out on the silhouette. We've got a mixture of plain cards and metallic cards, glitter cards, holographic cards, and then I've also created some of these printed cards as well. So now we've got the big task of assembling it all together. Obviously there are detailed instructions over on the website, including a wonderful video by Jennifer Maker, so you can have a look at that. It will give you a nice step by step. But we need to assemble all of these now. So as always, I'm going to be using my double-sided tape. I would imagine we're going to get through quite a lot of this. Now you don't want to see me do this piece by piece because it's going to take forever, so I'm just going to zoom through on a nice little time lapse. We're arranging the base and making sure that all of the outer parts of the circle touch before we're double side taping down the actual tabs. Now we need to fold these in the middle, taking advantage of the score lines that we made on the cutter, and then I'm just going to make sure that these are all double-sided taped down, and then just start slotting them in. The hexagonal bits go in the middle, and obviously we then put the base on and secure the bottom just to make sure it doesn't move around. So the base is now made. As you can see, it's fairly stable. I would perhaps suggest using a glitter cardstock or even one of these printed 300 GSM folded as the main bits. I went for black as I wanted a contrast. You can obviously get different thickness GSM from Papercutz. I'm just using what I had to hand. It still looks great and it still holds everything together. It would just make a nice contrast. Perhaps a silver glitter would look really cool. So now that we've done that, it is time to move on to creating the boxes that slide into each of these drawers. So similar to how we made the base, it's just a case of folding along the score lines that we created earlier and then using some double-sided to stick everything together. So I start with folding along the crease lines and then applying the double-sided tape to the tabs and making sure everything is really secure. Some of them have scored a little bit better than others. The glitter has been a bit tricky and I would have probably adjusted the force to 2 if I'd known. So there are some of the surfaces like the glitter where the double-sided tape is not really going to do a good job of sticking. For those and any areas that need a little bit of extra help, I'm actually going to be using my trusty glue gun. Links for everything that I use from my Amazon store can be found down below. So now I'm going to work on assembling the rest of these boxes. So I've gone through on some of the other boxes and checked if there's any areas where it seems to be coming apart, like here. This super shiny metallic surface sometimes needs a little bit of extra help compared to just using the double-sided. And that just makes sure that everything's going to be stable and can be reused year on year. So now that we have all of the boxes ready, it's time to actually put the numbers on. So as you can see, it comes with either cute little pumpkins or a cute little cauldron, and then there's backing circles so that you can just put that behind each one to really help them pop. And then obviously that would go on the front of each of these so that they're numbered. So the thing that I need to figure out now is obviously what colour combinations I would like and where I would like these all to go. The important thing to note is that obviously you have got double tiers on this base. So you've got the bigger ones that go at the bottom and the smaller ones that go at the top. So if you wanted to go round numerically, so obviously 1 to 13, you would need to start either at the bottom or the top and make sure that you're putting everything on as it should. However, I like the idea of having everything mixed up. There is the option to use magnets so that you can switch them around, but I don't want to do that. I just want to have mine as is. So now I'm going to figure out where all the boxes and numbers are going to go. So now we have all of the boxes completed, assembled, and with the numbers on front, it is time to decide where we are going to put them into the structure. So the tutorial, as I mentioned earlier, does mention that you can put magnets on the bottom here and onto the bottom of the structure too, to just make it a bit more stable. However, I don't really think we need to do this. My daughter is 8, Chibi Junior, and this will just have pride of place in one spot in our lounge, so I'm not too concerned about it getting bumped and jostled. So now is the fun part of deciding which drawers are going to go where. So you may be wondering what is going on at the top here, because obviously at the moment it doesn't really look like a witch's hat. That is where the final piece will sit. So because we have created these score lines on the silhouette, it makes it much easier to fold it up into a cone shape, and we're going to use this tab here with a little bit of glue just to secure it. I would ordinarily put my little double-sided roller, but because that's fairly thin, I'm going to use the glue gun instead, and that way I know it's nice and secure too. So now we're going to add the finishing touch to the hat, just trying to rotate it round to meet up with all of the straps. This also gives the structure a bit more stability as well. Ta-da! So the top also has a dual purpose. You can either keep it on there, which I will probably do, or it's the secret spot for the final gift, which you can obviously just put in the middle there. I like having it just like this because I think it just adds more stability to the structure itself. So obviously when you are moving these in and out, especially with smaller children, there is a chance that your boxes are going to come out, which could ruin the surprise. However, like I said, you can use magnetic strips. There are full instructions on how to add those. It's just I didn't really need to do that for Chibi Junior because she's just that little bit older. I am more than a little bit in love with how this has turned out. I love the fact that just using cardstock and a printer has managed to create something as wonderful as this. This is definitely something that is going to bring so much fun to the Chibi Designs house. And although it took forever to cut out all the pieces, assembling it was actually fairly quick. As always, I would not have been able to create this without the wonderful Papercutz, who provided not only all of the card, but also the A3 photo paper so that I could print these adorable little Halloween themed boxes as well. As always, I will drop the links to everything that I use down in the description box below. And now I need your help. Obviously it is the first week of October, and as there are only 12 or 13 treat boxes depending on how you want to play it, there's a few weeks yet until I need to present this to Chibi Designs. Now obviously I could go for the standard sweeties and lollipops to fill up all of these boxes, but that seems a little bit boring. So drop a comment down below. What do you think that I should be filling these boxes with so she can have a special little treat each day? I would love to know if you make your own. Definitely tag me in any photos that you share. And if you have any questions, as always, drop them down below and I will get back to you. I want to say a great big thank you for watching the channel today. If you've enjoyed the content, definitely like it. If you're not already subscribed, why not? I drop fun tutorial and how-to videos every Friday, and we would love to have you as a regular watcher. And with that, I will see you next time. Bye!